What's happening, Neutron Tech crew? Today we're hanging out with Michael as he tackles an absolutely wild Jawa motorcycle restoration that'll blow your mind. Let's get some background on these incredible machines. Back in 1929, a Czech genius named František Janeček decided the world needed better motorcycles, and boom, Jawa was born in Prague. These bikes quickly became legends for being tough as nails, wallet-friendly, and powered by those distinctive two-stroke engines that could handle just about anything you threw at them. The 250 and 350 models, total rock stars of the motorcycle world thanks to their bulletproof engineering and ability to laugh in the face of terrible roads. They earned their reputation from the cobblestone streets of Eastern Europe to the dusty trails of developing nations. Now, the bike Michael's working on, it's seen better days, like way better days. We're talking decades of accumulated grime, grease thick enough to spread on toast, and rust that's basically taken over every square inch of exposed metal. The frame looks like it's been through a war zone. The forks are more rust than metal, and whatever paint was there originally has either peeled off or is hanging on by a thread. Years of neglect have transformed this once proud machine into something that barely resembles a motorcycle. Time for some serious chemistry. Once Michael strips the bike down to its bones, he attacks that frame with professional-grade rust converters that would make a chemist proud. These chemical warriors dissolve iron oxide without needing to sandblast everything to death. But here's the catch. Leave any of that chemical goop on there, and your new paint job will look terrible faster than you can say restoration fail. The science behind it is fascinating. These converters actually transform rust into a stable compound that won't spread further. Michael's got the process down to a science. The second those chemicals finish their magic, he's hosing everything down with fresh water like his life depends on it. And honestly, the quality of the restoration does. Next up, if he's not painting right away, he'll coat everything with a protective layer. Maybe some WD-40 or BoShield T9 to keep moisture and oxygen from starting round 2 of the rust battle. Sure, he'll need to clean it off with degreaser or alcohol before painting, but it beats watching rust creep back overnight. Then comes primer, followed by that gorgeous paint job that'll make this Jawa look factory fresh again. The work's far from over, though. Michael turns his attention to the chain, and this is where things get scientific. We're talking proper mad scientist territory. He's using electrolysis, basically running electricity through a solution to make rust give up and go home. This technique is perfect for chains because good luck trying to sandblast between all those tiny links without losing your mind. The process creates a gentle bubbling action that lifts rust from even the most inaccessible spots. Once the electrical magic does its thing and the rust surrenders, it's back to the WD-30 treatment. Just like with the frame, consistency is key in restoration work. But Michael's not done. He follows up with some serious elbow grease, scrubbing away any stubborn rust particles before thoroughly drying everything. Can't have any moisture hiding in there when it's time for lubrication and reassembly. He'll spend extra time making sure every link moves freely before calling it good. Now we're getting to the good stuff. The engine, the beating heart of this vintage beast that once sang its two-stroke song across countless miles. Jawa engines are legendary for their bomb-proof air-cooled two-stroke design. Take the 250cc version, we're talking 12 to 14 horses depending on which model you've got, with that unmistakable exhaust sound and power delivery smooth as butter. These babies typically rock a unit construction gearbox, either rotary valve or piston port breathing, and that classic kickstart that makes you feel like a real rider. The simplicity of these engines is what made them so reliable and beloved worldwide. Michael's engine looks like it's been buried in a dusty barn for decades, which it probably has, judging by the archaeological layers of grime. After giving it a good rinse and draining whatever ancient oil is lurking inside, he methodically tears it apart with the precision of a watchmaker. First come the easy bits: clutch cover, ignition cover, cylinder head. Then he pulls the cylinder barrel, revealing the piston and connecting rod in all their grimy glory. Every single piece gets labeled, photographed, and carefully set aside for inspection, cleaning, or replacement if it's too far gone. Documentation is crucial when you're dealing with dozens of parts. The outside might look rough, but the real drama happens inside where you can't see it without tearing everything apart. Those piston rings, they've been grinding away for years, dealing with extreme heat and pressure that would destroy lesser materials. They're usually the first casualties in an old engine worn down from thousands of hours of faithful service. Putting this mechanical puzzle back together requires the touch of a surgeon and the patience of a saint. Rush it, and you'll regret it later. This is where dead metal becomes a living, breathing machine again. Michael starts with those crankcase halves, making sure they're spotless and applying fresh gasket sealant where needed. The crankshaft and gearbox assemblies slide into the lower case like they're coming home after a long journey. Getting that crankshaft aligned perfectly is crucial. Mess it up in a two-stroke, and you'll know it immediately when nothing runs right and the engine sounds like a coffee grinder. Got shims or alignment pins? Better install them with millimeter precision, or you'll be dealing with wonky bearings and premature wear that'll have you tearing it all apart again. Once the mechanical guts are sorted, all the supporting players get their turn on stage. The timing needs to be spot on, and Michael double-checks everything before buttoning up the cases. This attention to detail separates a professional restoration from a backyard bodge job. Time to tackle the sheet metal. Fenders, chain guards, all that good stuff that makes a motorcycle look like a motorcycle instead of a mechanical skeleton. Michael fires up the angle grinder with a stripping disc and goes to town on layers of rust, ancient paint, and general nastiness. He needs to see bare metal to know what he's really working with underneath all that crud. Usually these parts are riddled with pits, deep rust damage, or dents from decades of use and abuse. Sometimes the metal is so thin you can practically see through it. When he finds serious damage, cracks, holes, or metal that's basically given up on life, out comes the welding gear. Whether it's oxyacetylene or brazing, Michael's laying down filler rod to bring these parts back from the dead. These repairs aren't just cosmetic. They need to handle the stress of actual riding and whatever weather Mother Nature throws at them. A bad weld here could mean a fender flying off at speed, which nobody wants. Post-welding, it's back to the grinder to smooth those repair seams until they disappear into the surrounding metal like they were never there. Then comes the detail work with finer abrasives, sculpting the panels back to their original curves and eliminating any lumps or bumps from the welding work. It's almost meditative, watching the rough repairs transform into smooth metal ready for the next stage. Michael attacks both sides of these parts with equal enthusiasm, making sure everything's uniform, no cutting corners here. For those annoying little dents and surface imperfections, out comes the body filler, the secret weapon of restorers everywhere. He spreads it over problem areas where rust has left its mark or where his hammer work wasn't quite perfect. Once it hardens, he sands it smooth with power sanders, carefully shaping it to match the original contour. Too much pressure, and you'll create a low spot. Too little, and you'll leave it hot. A layer of etching primer goes on next, creating the perfect foundation for paint while sealing the metal against future rust attacks. Think of it as armor for the metal. This primer coat is like truth serum for bodywork. It shows every tiny flaw that needs fixing before the color goes on. Getting this right is the difference between a paint job that looks amateur and one that could pass for factory fresh. Michael inspects every inch under good lighting, marking spots that need another touch of filler. After wiping away every speck of dust with tack cloths and degreaser, it's showtime for the color coat. This is where the magic really happens. The base coat lays down the chosen hue, traditionally deep maroon, classic black, or silver gray for these Jawa. Michael's going with that rich maroon red, a choice that screams vintage class while honoring the bike's heritage. The paint goes on in thin, even coats, building up to a deep, lustrous finish that'll turn heads. This particular shade of maroon isn't random, it's motorcycle history in liquid form, a color that tells a story. Mid-century Jawas wore this color like a badge of honor, alongside their black and silver siblings. Sure, Michael's bike is from a newer generation, but choosing this classic color bridges past and present beautifully. It's a respectful nod to the bikes that came before while making this restoration uniquely his own. Modern Jaws like the 42 and the Classic still rock this bold maroon, often accented with cream or gold pinstripes as a respectful nod to their ancestors. Michael's careful pinstriping work mirrors these factory touches perfectly, requiring a steady hand and years of practice. Each line must be perfect. There's no erasing a mistake in pinstriping. The result is pure class, a paint job that honors tradition while looking absolutely stunning. But pretty paint is just window dressing compared to critical components like the fuel tank, the lifeblood reservoir of any motorcycle. This isn't just a metal bubble that holds gas, it's the bike's most recognizable feature, and a vital part that needs to deliver clean fuel reliably. A proper restoration means fixing more than just surface rust and faded paint. That tank needs to be structurally perfect and squeaky clean inside. Any contamination in there will work its way through the entire fuel system. Tanks that have been sitting around collecting moisture or marinating in old fuel usually show their age with rust blooms, paint bubbles, and nasty varnish deposits inside that look like tar. Michael drains whatever's in there, pulls the tank off, and flushes out years of accumulated crud with specialized tank cleaning solutions. Lucky for him, this tank's in decent shape, so he gives it the same treatment as the other parts: strip the rust, prep the surface, and lay down that gorgeous maroon paint. The inside gets a fuel-resistant coating to prevent future problems. While Michael keeps working through his pile of rusty parts, let's talk about why rust is such a nightmare for motorcycle owners. This isn't just about looks. Rust is literally eating your motorcycle from the inside out, molecule by molecule. Technically speaking, it's iron getting cozy with oxygen and water, creating iron oxide that slowly devours the base metal like a very patient monster. Left unchecked, it'll turn solid steel into flaky powder. What starts as innocent surface discoloration becomes flaky, weak metal that's lost its strength and integrity. Corrosion doesn't play favorites, it attacks everything with equal enthusiasm. On cosmetic pieces like fenders and side covers, rust chews through the sheet metal until it warps, cracks, or develops holes you could poke your finger through. Once the metal gets thin and crispy, forget about mounting anything to it securely. Those mounting tabs will tear right off under stress. The really scary stuff happens on structural components where failure isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Even tiny rust spots on the frame can develop into micro cracks that spread under vibration and stress. Give it enough time, and you're looking at catastrophic failure, not something you want to discover at highway speeds. But mechanical systems suffer even worse. Inside the fuel tank, rust flakes break off and travel through the fuel system like tiny metal saboteurs. They'll clog filters, jam carburetor jets, and even score cylinder walls if they make it that far, turning your smooth-running engine into a rough, misfiring mess. Most Jawas roll with telescopic front forks and twin rear shocks, classic suspension that takes a beating from both riding stress and weather exposure. Fork oil contaminated with rust particles turns into useless sludge, making the forks work inconsistently and dangerously. Those rear shock piston rods? Rust eats through their seals, causing oil leaks that turn your shocks into expensive pogo sticks. The result is a bike that handles like a shopping cart with a wonky wheel. Wheels face a three-front war against rust. Rims, spokes, and hubs all get attacked simultaneously. Steel rims develop surface rust fast, and if it goes deep enough, they can't handle the loads they're designed for. Imagine a rim failure at speed. Michael tears everything apart for inspection. He checks rims for pitting, warping, or serious corrosion, especially around spoke holes and tire bead seats, where water loves to hide. Light surface rust gets the abrasive treatment, but seriously compromised rims go straight to the scrap pile. Safety first, always. Chemical rust removers work wonders on complex areas like spoke threads and nipples, where mechanical cleaning would damage the delicate threads. Smaller parts might get the electrolysis treatment to preserve their strength while removing embedded rust. It's like giving them a spa day that strips away years of neglect. With everything cleaned up, Michael rebuilds the wheels from scratch, installing spokes and nipples in the exact factory pattern. Each spoke gets tensioned precisely to create a wheel that's both true and strong. Finally, the moment of truth, reassembly time. This is where months of work come together in a symphony of mechanical precision. Michael starts with the bare frame, giving himself room to work from every angle. First up is the rear swing arm, bolted in with properly greased pivot bolts that'll ensure smooth suspension movement. The front suspension slides into the triple clamps next, aligned with surgical precision. Fresh steering head bearings, packed with quality grease, go in at this stage. Cheap bearings here mean wobbles later. Once the suspension's sorted, in go the shock absorbers, carefully adjusted to the correct preload. The wheels, now sporting fresh rubber, bolt into place with new bearings spinning silently. The rear fender mounts up, lining up perfectly with the shock mounts and taillight brackets. Everything fits like it should when the prep work's been done right. Suddenly, this pile of parts is starting to look like an actual motorcycle again, ready to hit the road once more. From painstakingly removing corrosion from delicate suspension components to perfectly balancing hand-laced wheels, Michael approached every task with focus and respect for the machine's heritage. His commitment to preserving the bike's original character reveals someone who truly gets what these machines mean to people. This isn't just transportation, it's rolling history, a connection to motorcycling's golden age. Michael knows that real restoration goes beyond making an old bike run again. Anyone with a wrench set can do that. It's about resurrecting its spirit, keeping its character intact while making it safe and reliable for modern roads. Every buffed surface, every rebuilt assembly, every torqued bolt shows his dedication to honoring Jawa's legacy while preparing it for modern roads. He hasn't just fixed a motorcycle, he's preserved a piece of history for future generations to appreciate. He's reconnected the past with the present, linking old-school craftsmanship with contemporary passion in a way that respects both eras. That's what sets Michael's work apart from your average restoration. He's not showing off, he's showing respect for what this bike was and what it can become. His restoration speaks to reverence, not ego. Every decision from paint color to part selection honors the original while ensuring reliability. To Michael, this Jawa represents more than machinery, it's a time machine on two wheels, a bridge between generations of riders. He never aimed for museum perfection that would sit under glass. Instead, he wanted to breathe life back into a machine meant to be ridden, to create memories on the open road. When this Jawa hits the road, every engine pulse and wheel rotation will carry his vision forward. The restoration is complete, but the journey is just beginning.